Most women think that they need more willpower if they want to lose weight. More willpower and or more motivation. Like, I need more willpower, I need to be more motivated, I need to get motivated to create some willpower. But that is actually not what's happening. Most of our weight loss plans don't fall apart because you eat one cookie. It's the trap our brain creates immediately after you eat the cookie. So if you've ever eaten a bite of a cookie and then told yourself, well, that's it now, ruins everything, might as well eat the whole pantry, then what I'm about to explain to you today will probably change the way you look at emotional eating forever, because there's a psychological trap that's happening in your brain. And once you see it, you can stop the spiral before it turns into a full-blown binge. So let's dive in. What is up, you gorgeous, fabulous creatures? Welcome to another week of the Losing It podcast. You're here with Kylie Pax, Australia's emotional eating coach. So excited to be here with you all today. If you've been loving the podcast, please take a moment today to leave a review, hit that subscribe button. That is how we're going to reach more and more women around the world and let our tired asses feel like we've got some control back in our lives. So today we're talking a little bit about how one bite of a cookie or whatever, some chips, chocolate, cake, cookies, pizza, ice cream, usually those foods seem to start with a C. I don't know what that's all about, but how they always do us in. Why does one bite turn into a binge? When you break a rule that you set for yourself, one of two things happen immediately. First of all, you experience what psychologists call cognitive dissonance. That's the uncomfortable tension that you start feeling between, but I think I'm a disciplined person, and then the realization that I just did something wildly undisciplined. And your brain hates that kind of tension. So its job immediately becomes to resolve that as easily, as quickly as possible. And the easiest way for it to do it is not by, ironically, correcting the behavior. You would think that the best solution in those moments is for you to recognize, oh, I just did something that is out of character for me, goes against my goals, my dreams, my aspirations, doesn't make sense for me to continue this. Best I don't have another bite of cookie. But that is not what our brain says. What our brain actually does to resolve the situation is not to correct the behavior, but to abandon the rule entirely. Think about it. Correcting the behavior would take a while. We would have to apply ourselves. There would be a whole lot of thought process behind it. It is quicker, easier, faster, and more effective for our brain to tell us, just drop that rule altogether. Now, here's what makes emotional eaters especially vulnerable in this area. I only recently found out that this was an actual thing. We've all experienced what I'm about to share with you. There is not one woman on the planet who hasn't. But what I'm about to tell you is that it's an actual psychological term, and it's called the what the hell effect. Sis, I'm telling you the truth. You can Google it right now. Studies have been done, and psychologists have now coined a term that is called the what the hell effect. And it happens when one small mistake triggers a total collapse in our restraint. So instead of thinking, okay, I had one cookie or I had a bite of cookie, your brain says, I have failed. And that is the moment that your brain labels the entire situation as a failure. Restraint disappears, dreams, aspirations, goals, all out the window. And that is the precise pinpoint moment that the spiral begins. Now, here's why emotional eaters get hit harder with this, because for us, the cycle is even more dangerous. And that's because food for us is connected to comfort. So if you were to look at it from an eagle eye view or a bird's eye view, the sequence would actually look like this. Step one is you break your plan ever so slightly. It's really not a big deal. I could eat one M&M and my brain starts screaming, drop your standards completely. So step one is you break the plan ever so slightly. The second thing that you experience is a feeling of guilt or disappointment, which makes sense because you went against the standards you had set for yourself to achieve the goal you were trying to achieve. So that leads us into the third step, which is emotions of discomfort. And so fourthly, your brain starts looking for immediate relief. And of course, guess what the fastest relief is? For us, it's always food. If you're not a major drinker, smoker, drug taker, then food is going to be the quickest, fastest way to happy town. So now the irony is the very thing that caused the problem to start with, the bite of a cookie, also in our brain becomes the solution, which begins the self-sabotage loop. Eat a cookie, feel guilt. Eat more cookies to relieve the guilt. Now we're feeling even more guilty, so we eat more cookies. Now, in these situations, the real danger isn't the cookie, obviously. It's the story you tell yourself about the cookie, because two people can eat the exact same cookie. The first person might think, okay, that was one more than I intended to eat, or that was delicious. And a second person can eat the same cookie and think, that's it, I've ruined everything. In psychologist studies, that second person almost always continues eating. And the reason is because the brain believes the damage is already done. This entire cycle is powered by all or nothing thinking. If our plan isn't perfect, then to us, it feels powerless. But of course, if you've ever lost a substantial amount of weight before in your life, you will know it didn't happen because you did a perfect plan for a perfect period of time. That's not how it happens. It happens inside of the containers of course correction. So let me give you the 4 steps of how to break the what the hell cycle. Now, I am in the process of using this myself. I'm not going to even pretend that I get this perfect every time because I don't. And that's actually step 1 is I want you to expect imperfection. If you're going to map out a plan that requires you to be perfect, it's going to eventually fail. Life interrupts, emotions show up, shit happens, as they say. And instead of trying to avoid those moments entirely, it's better for you to prepare for them. As I was saying to one of my private clients yesterday, I said, girl, we need to be prepared for when we are unprepared. Make sure you've got some of your favorite meals in the freezer ready to go for on the days when you do slink through the door at 9, 10 p.m. at night and you've had the worst emotional day. I speak frequently about the depression and anxiety that I often deal with, so I make sure that I have some meals available to me. They're not my most optimum, highly nutritious meals, but they're also not a pizza from Domino's. I'll make sure that I've got frozen soup, store-bought salads, even just a store-bought chicken. For me, number 1, making sure that I've got my protein and veg is always going to stop a binge in my world. Second thing you're going to do is you're going to interrupt that script. The danger sentence is when our brain rolls out, I've blown it. I've screwed it all up now. I might as well keep eating. Or for me, my brain will even tell me, you better finish eating all of this food now so that it's not there to threaten your success tomorrow. Now, when that sentence appears, my job is to immediately replace it with, I had a cookie. Like, can we all just get a freaking grip? It's one cookie. Your role is not to try and correct the behavior immediately. The step before that is for you to control the narrative so that the spiral doesn't even begin. The third step you're going to do is take a bird's eye view, zoom right back out. You know how we can all zoom in and out on our phone? If you zoom right in, a tiny little pixel can look quite, infamous and scary. Zoom back out. Get a grip on the whole picture. One cookie cannot ruin your day. Doesn't ruin your week. Doesn't ruin your diet plan. Doesn't ruin anything. But your story of that cookie turning you into a monumental failure can. The progress that you want to see is going to be built on the back of the hundreds of micro decisions that you make each day. It's not never eating a cookie that's going to give you some perfect weight loss plan. It's not that. It's that when you do eat the cookie, you don't let it spiral. You course correct quickly and you keep moving forward. The 4th step is to use the reset rule. And this is one of the most powerful tools that I use, which means the next decision resets your day, not the next day. I'm no longer going to be stuffing my face until midnight that night so I can quote unquote start again tomorrow. No, I can start again on my next decision, not tomorrow, not Monday, the next decision. So when you eat the cookie, because you will, I want you to, life is too short not to eat the cookies. That's fine. But the next moment is your reset moment, the very next choice. You're either going to continue the spiral or you're going to stop it. But every single moment will give you a brand new opportunity to do better. Thank you so much for joining me here today. And as always, if you have another female in your life that can so relate to what we've been talking about today, please go ahead and share this episode with her or leave a review, because as always, the only person who has the power to change your life is you. When you step up and start educating yourself on how your brain works, this is not a personality failure when you eat a cookie and then you think that you've failed. You haven't. Your brain is doing precisely what it's supposed to do. But your job is to be smart, sexy, savvy, and switched on enough to recognize that, make the micro course corrections needed, and to continue on shooting for your goals, because honey, they belong to you and no one's going to hand them to you on a silver platter. Your job is to go after the body, the life, self-esteem, the self-belief, the relationships, the bank balance, everything that you want. It's all available. Your only job is to educate yourself, keep moving forward, and never, ever give up. I cannot wait to see you all again next week. Until then, gorgeous ones, bye for now. Thank you so much for tuning in. Remember to shimmy your butt over to KyliePax.com and join me inside of the Bombshell Blueprint so you can stop emotional eating and start losing your weight now. You'll also find helpful notes and resources inside my past podcasts that will help you lose your weight without losing your sanity. I will see you next week.